thought I'd look up a little bit more about gold. It says gold can be found in all four countries of the UK. Lake District, the Pennines, the Forest of Dean and Cornwall, Wales. The Welsh gold rush of the 1860s is long gone. I am actually half Welsh, but I don't speak Welsh because obviously my parents never lived there. But I think that's Dolgellau, but I'm not very good at pronunciations. Yeah, of Wales. Gold belt in Snowdonia still yields gold to this day. That's quite interesting, isn't it? So we put the little video on I've made. Yeah, so yet again, it's almost like this is gone. We were doing it and now it's gone, and it was mad in the 1860s, but it's gone now. It says gold has been mined in the UK since the time of the Romans. Peak production of gold was 1860 to 1909, when around 3,005 kgs was found. The largest concentrations of gold in the UK are in Scotland, North Wales and South West England. That's probably why they own it all. They own the land that it's on. Bet ya, the royal family own the land that it's on. Anyway, I thought that was, again, you know, all over by 1909. So was the mining up in Scotland, and Tartaria coming to its end all over by 1925. And that's quite a large amount of gold, isn't it? 3,500 kgs. But I was a bit shocked. I'm going to show you that in a minute. Anyway, bits in England. Oh yeah, one of the largest amounts is in this vault below the Bank of England. It's one of the biggest stores of gold in the world. There are more than 400,000 baths worth millions. Billions. It takes 9 vaults to put the gold in. The customers are the UK government, banks and other governments. This is what this person's saying, but obviously I don't want copyright, so, you know. Anyway, it's worth billions sitting in the Bank of England, making and losing money, as the little picture will show. Up and down it goes. And then their customers can trade with other customers at the bank. So when they buy the gold bars, the only thing that happens is that, say, number 25 in that vault there is customer A. Oh, it gets changed to customer E. So that's all that happens, and the system changes, but the gold doesn't really get touched and it sits in the vault. And then it said, an ounce of gold can be stretched for 50 miles. Don't know if that means anything. So they draw this little thing, they're going to have a 50-mile radius. So I thought that was quite interesting. What does that mean? What does that mean? And then they said all the gold would take up 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools. But that's not that much, is it? That's the whole bank. That's all the gold that's mined. But most of it, 400,000 bars of it, sit in the vault in the Bank of England. So maybe that tells you something. Thanks for watching. Yes, I thought the next bit that we do is that we just look a little bit at the brine. Well, it's a bit hard. They are seas, lakes or rivers. That's what they get called. But there's one here. It's by, it's in the Middle East. The Red Sea. It's in the Red Sea. And this just came to my attention. So you've got these brine pools, and they're called brine pools, but basically brine is just very salty water. That's what it means. And so this is a company, they've been looking at the underwater lake, sea, whatever you want to call it. And there it is, this very salty water doing its own thing, having its own little waves and so forth under the water, extra to the sea on top. And then this people here in the Red Sea, they want to take a sample, so they lower this thing in and then they take a water sample, and I mean that's one of the brine pools. But I did notice this thing. I don't know, is this a petrified tree or is that a piece of building? A big pillar down there, and then how did that pillar get there? They don't really explain that bit, but sometimes when you're looking at the footage when they're down there, you think, has this been something else here? But it is in a riverbed. But yeah, these are the brine pools with that thing in there. Do you see it? I don't know if that looks man-made or is that a tree? It took it at its roots. It must have ripped it. It's either a tree or a piece of mankind down there. But anyway, these are little pools, and things can go in it, like the little shrimps. Things settle on the pool because it's obviously brine and longer to sink, and anything that goes in it will die. And they go in and they rip it out, and then eels go in there, but they can go into septic shock because obviously it's very dense, that water. But here's a bit more about brine pools. It's called the Kibrit, or however you say that. I'm sorry, I'm not very good at that. And then this one is in Mexico. So we know of two, there's probably more, but they go on about this one a lot in Mexico, the Gulf of Mexico. And they don't really, and they obviously have been to the other one in the Red Sea. They don't talk so much about anywhere else. They talk about these places with this brine water in it. This is the Red Sea. There it is, and that little dot, that's where they were. And you know, I thought, well, I'll just look up a little bit, or as much as I can right now. This one's Mexico, but we're really concentrating on the other one, but I was just showing this one. And that picture on the top right, I think, is what it looks like. But when you see pictures, it doesn't really look that shape. So I don't understand how they get... Does that look like a circle? But they're saying it's the brine pool. Obviously, these are crabs and things that have gone in there. Anyway, so there it is. Those are the places that they found with the brine, water, the sea, the lake, whatever you want to call it. I thought that was quite interesting in the middle there. And there's a little bit of information there if you want to read it. You can just stop and read it anytime you want. So then I thought, as the video goes on, I decide to go and look it up in the 1600s. I need a date well before, just in case that wasn't a sea and that was land, or it was something else. You never know until you look at the maps. And we're going to see in a minute. Oh, I like that one, because that's where Doggerland is, where the North Sea is, and look at all the rivers that are going up that way. Anyway, that was an old map of it. And then I go to another one. There it is. And this old map here, I'm just going to stop that for a moment. So in French, Francais, I think you'll find that's, I don't know, de la's French, isn't it? And then in it you can see it's got these sandbanks, and they're not far from where all that brine, where those little dots were. Let's have a look. I'll go back to here. Where are we? There. It's where all the land is that's in this picture here. It's amazing that in this picture they show it, but they don't show it anymore, if you know what I mean. So no, I thought that was interesting, but I don't know if I know that much about it. But there's two places, and you know, so far I haven't found millions of places, but I do like to find out about where we live. Anyway, we look a little bit more, because those are the sandbanks where that brine water is. Brine, sea, lake, river, they call them different things. They're just ponds of water in the rest that are very dense. and it seems to keep itself separate. It doesn't mix with the other water. There's this cut-off point, and that's the way it is. There's a little bit more, and they're bringing up Mexico, see? When I'm looking it up, they're not bringing up, because, you know, I thought, oh, it's got to be some around England. But they talk about Mexico a lot. But I do put a picture in here because I don't know why they call it brine, because if you go to Hove, which is next to Brighton, you know, on the seafront with all those piers, which I've talked about a lot, then they've got a seawater swimming pool there. I used to swim there as a young girl. I used to swim there every week, you know, be in teams and do swimming and stuff like that. Yeah, they don't call that brine water, they just call that seawater swimming pool. A lot of, obviously, swimming pools are chlorinated water, aren't they? But that one in Brighton is a seawater one. And yeah, I'll show you another place, but they're calling that a brine swimming pool. There you go, I think we're coming to it now. And then the one in Mexico, they say it's a hot tub of death, because obviously the water's warmer there. And yeah, you don't want to go in it because nothing can survive in it. Gulf of Mexico. Which you can read that if you want. Obviously, a lot of us have been very interested in those other seas in the sea. There it is. The Gulf of Mexico. And that is the outside swimming pool at Natwich Outdoor Brine Pool, they're calling that one. Anyway, this is talking about the hot tub of death. There you go. Don't really see that one as, they draw it as a circle, but I don't really see it as a kind of circle. But anyway, it's like what you'd say is the top of a volcano, doesn't it? It's sort of. Anyway, you don't want to fall in there. And obviously, if you want, just stop and read what you can. But look it up yourself if you want. And then this is the other sea, see? So they're in the sea, look on the bottom of the floor, looking at the brine water, moving differently and swaying back and forth and having its own momentum separate to the sea that's above it. And then this is the pool, and then these are the eels. They can go in and out. It's crazy, isn't it? It's like we're on the moon or something. But then they showed you this animal going into toxic shock because it was in there too long. And so they can go in it but can't live in it very long. But anyway, so what's your thoughts on that then? What is this very, very salty sea? Anyway, I hope that's not in our tins, you know, with our tuna and sweet corn. But anyway, thanks for, because that's called brine, isn't it? It's just very salty water, which is what the Dead Sea is. Very salty water, like the Salton Lake, which they have obviously polluted so that you don't notice it about this and the rest of the history, which they don't want us to know. But anyway, thanks for watching.
The infamous Mariana Trench sits like a crescent-shaped dent in the floor of the Pacific. A 2,550-kilometer-long, 69-kilometer-wide fracture that plummets down into a pure black void.
I wanted to ask that question, how do we get to the Mariana Trench, but it doesn't explain it. It just says once you get there. So which side do you think they're coming on? If we can't fly in the Pacific, then it's got to be from Japan side. Yes. The nearest country is Guam. It says that it's 6.8 miles away, so basically the distance it is away is how deep the trench is. I was kind of expecting to see a big link to the UK or the Queen here, but I don't. That's their flag. Yeah, it's a bit different, that flag, isn't it? I always think it's really strange when you suddenly see their history. So, 1565, they're making relationships with America. Yet, at that time, Spain is there running it. Well, here it says 1492, the Spanish had colonised, basically, had got there and so forth. And I think actually it was the Dutch. It was the Dutch first, then the Spanish. Then I don't even know where England fits in because we had Independence Day, but actually you don't see England, it's the Spanish. Wow. So you get my drift. It's always different when you go and look things up. The history just doesn't add up. So that bit of history about how Guam became associated with America in the 1500s can't be true because the Spanish had it for a while, and it might have even been to the 1800s. Yes, to the 1800s. So there you go. So what a load of rubbish. It was the Spanish, or even the Dutch, whoever it was. It wasn't America. Crazy, isn't it? What they say, what they do. So how did they, as America, because it was run by Spain and the Holy Roman Empire, how did they make friendship with Guam? Anyway, and then it says Japan seized it for 2.5 years in the Second World War. In 1950, the Act of Congress made it an unincorporated, organised territory of the United States. Yeah, with bases on it probably. But anyway, that one links itself to the United States.
At the bottom, it hosts the deepest known location on Earth, the Challenger Deep, 11,033 meters or 36,200 feet beneath the waves.
And it's here. And then look, it's part of the Ring of Fire. And we know we can't, you don't ever go in here. You can't get across here, and it's called the Ring of Fire. I just thought that was very interesting that there are other trenches. There's, oh, that one is there. I can't see it. The Tonga Trench. Look at them. The Japan Trench. There's all these ones. The Kirtle. I can't say them all, but look, all these trenches. The Middle American Trench. I wonder if this is the edge. You know you can't meet here. This isn't true. So, but they are looking at different lands. But you can't get there. And you can't sail through here. So, I wonder what all that means. Is this the edge? But they do see other land, so what are they looking at? They're just not looking at each other. Crazy, hey? I thought it was crazy because it just interested me, that trench, and obviously that's the deepest point in the world. about 7 miles down, and look what it's in. We can't sail in there. We can't sail in that bit. We don't go in that bit. We go the other way, and then to come back to, you know, you have to go the other way, and then that's what it looks like if you stick it on a globe. There it is. We can't sail in that bit. And look where it goes. Right the way around everything else. It obviously isn't that shape. Anyway, on with the video.
This is the Pacific Ocean. Here are the Mariana Islands and a huge crescent moon in the water. See? The Mariana Trench itself has a deepest point called Challenger Deep. 10,994 meters, or 36,069 feet below sea level.
They're saying 36,000 feet, which is 7 miles down, and the planes don't go above about there, do they? I mean, they say some fly 40,000 feet and all that, military ones and stuff like that, and maybe the occasional flight goes up that high, but I don't think we can go much higher than 40,000 feet. And yeah, and they're saying that that trench is 7 miles down. I just don't know what it is, but I think it's part of this thing we're in. Trying to learn what shape we are and the whole thing, then that's what it is. I think that's the edge somehow. I just do. Look at the depth of it though. You can't read that, but you can see that's a plane. So it's as high, look, it goes down 7 miles. That's a long way. I bet we don't go the other side. I just think that's going to be the edge. Anyway, that's saying where things are, and that's as deep as the Titanic, and just here, and that's where whales swim to, and they've managed to get down there. Yes. And then this is the trenches, or a picture of it. That's called the Mariana Basin, the east one, and that one's the west one. It says west there, the other side, so that's the east. But that looks like the moon, doesn't it? This picture here looks like we're on the moon. Yeah. And I was quite shocked at the shape of it. It just looks like 2 moons, you know. Obviously not a full moon, but we'll get a bit of a bigger picture of it in a minute so you can see it. But it makes sense why they'd call it that, and that we don't beyond. Look at that, it looks like 2 moons. And 2 moons, one there and one there. Very strange it's that shape, but anyway, on this bit, the Mariana Trench bit, it's this shape. So I think the deepest bit's down here. It's got it there. There's, and again, that's how deep it is, and they're saying that. I mean, I don't get this because there's Everest to there. It's bigger than the trench. It's taller. Everest is. So that means it's got to be, oh, I don't know how many miles, because everything changes all the time. But 36,000 feet was where a plane was, and it was taller than that. 7 miles. So, I didn't, you know, I'm not sure. Maybe it's because we don't see Mount Everest from sea level, and so they're talking about sea level. Anyway, when you look in the water, there's New Zealand, and this kind of looks like this could have been, I don't know, another continent or something, maybe originally. Who knows? Or it's just their drawings, isn't it? But this is where the trench goes. It's quite close here, and it's quite close there. I don't know, but anyway, that's sort of what it's like in the water. Yes, anyway, that's another picture of it, kind of with this other land that's, or could have been, maybe this was all part of one thing at one time. I think that's where earthquakes happen, in that trench. I made a map a while ago and I put volcanoes on the outside. Kind of protection, it's the end, it's volcanoes, but I just don't know. And I mean, that one's showing a volcano on the sea floor there. Anyway, I just thought it's very interesting to show this bit, because has anybody else thought about this? It's not even, well, I mean, it is quite away from Everest, that side of the world as well, so the tallest and the deepest. God, I don't think I'd like to swim over that bit, that trench. You can't fly anywhere near Everest, and that trench, I just couldn't swim over it, being 7 miles deep. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting showing what's people's thoughts on this place and the ring of fire that goes right the way round, and we don't fly out into any of that, we fly the other way. Every way we're going is this way, not this way.